Alrighty, so we're gonna get started. Can you guys hear me all right? Desi?
I can hear you fine, yep.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sam McKenzie. I am the Director of Development for Rutgers Business School. Thank you all for being with us today. This webinar is part of the Rutgers University Alumni Association's virtual event series, which offers Rutgers alumni and friends the opportunity to stay connected and hear from expert alumni in various fields. Today, you will hear from Sweetberry Bowls founder and CEO Desi Saran and his partner, Matthew Skopak. Desi is a seasoned entrepreneur and restaurateur who is passionate about building companies and spreading health and wellness. He received an M.B.A. from Rutgers Business School in 2015 and a bachelor's degree in economics from Rutgers Livingston College in 2007. Matthew is an adventure and fitness addict with a devotion to entrepreneurship. He received an M.B.A. from Rutgers Business School in 2020 and a bachelor's degree in business administration from Seton Hall University. Please note that all attendees have been placed on mute for the duration of this discussion. If you have any questions, please submit them via the chat option at the bottom of your screen. Your questions will be answered throughout the discussion. It's now my pleasure to turn it over to Desi and Matt. Thanks, Desi and Matt.
Hey, thanks so much, Sam. I'll do a quick intro myself, and then I'll let Matt talk. Guys, I can't see the chat, so if anybody's asking any questions, feel free to interrupt us so that we can answer the attendees. First off, we just want to say thank you to every single person that's attending here today. You're taking your time out of your day, and it's awesome. We're honored to be here. This is actually the second webinar I got to do for Rutgers. I did one, I think, about a month ago. And, this is a very, very interesting time right now where, our entire world has changed. And there are, believe it or not, there are opportunities for businesses and to become an entrepreneur. And, what we're seeing is that a lot of people that have a little bit more time to themselves are, questioning this and they're looking into like their side project or their side hustle. So for everyone that's on here today, we want to be able to answer your questions and guide and push you in that direction. So just a little bit about me. I went to Rutgers. I graduated from Livingston College, like Sam said, in 2007 in economics. And after that, I worked on Wall Street for a bit, then got involved in tech startups. And I went back to get my M.B.A. in finance. And I graduated Rutgers, I think, 2014. Right around that time, my good friend had invited me down to the shore to help him with his smoothie stand. And, that company went on to become Pliables. So I was with them from the beginning for about 3 years or so. And interesting enough, when they brought me on, the first thing I did was I entered us into Rutgers Business Plan competition. That is a competition that happens every year for some of you aspiring entrepreneurs or some of you that have businesses. Anyone can apply if you're a student or alumni. And the prizes are pretty significant. I think first place is always $20,000. Second is usually 10 or 15, and then third is about 5,000. That year, I believe it was 2015, we took first place. Rutgers cut us a check for $20,000 or the sponsors, and we used that money to buy our first, to build our first store in Belmar, New Jersey, and the rest is history. So that's kind of how it all happened in a really, really quick summary. After about 3 years, I got bought out of the company, excuse me, and I went on to found Sweetberry. Sweetberry, for some of you guys that don't know or haven't been to one of our locations, we have most of our locations in New Jersey. We're also a healthy fast casual chain, and we specialize in acai and smoothies, but also wraps, salads, and poke bowls. And we grew really, really fast. In a span of, a little over 2 years, we opened 20 locations all around the U.S. And we were able to do that because of our team. Matt and I were introduced by one of my other partners, Matt. In 2018, he came on as a partner, and he was instrumental in helping us scale across New Jersey. Matt has a really, really great background, and he's going to tell you about his, he's involved in other companies as well. So I'll let you take it, Matt.
Hey guys, so my name is Matt Skopak. I am a graduate at the M.B.A. school right now at Rutgers, Newark, And then I went to Seton Hall University in 2004, graduated 2008. I played baseball there. So for 10 years, I would say I was in finance. So I did financial advising and I'm also work in the hedge fund world. And then I started taking my first class at Rutgers University, and it was in a finance class. And basically, our first project was to talk to a business owner. And from that point on, I had my best friend, which is one of Desi's partners, Matt Skopak. I was interested in the opportunity. He told us about Sweetberry, and I asked to be if I could join in any way, and I became an investor. And that's kind of when I met Desi, and I saw the vision for Sweetberry. And I wanted to go a different route of just the finance 9-to-5 job. I felt like I could do more. So I joined the team. We basically grew the company from that point on. And then I would say about a year and a half ago, I invested into another CBD company called Sugar and Kush, where basically we've grown and I've taken over the role now, the CFO of that company. So I handle all the financials, I help with the supply chain, marketing. So those kind of two companies kind of just came about after I started my M.B.A. at Rutgers. Just one class project led to me getting in front of my good friend to lead Sweetberry, and then Sweetberry led to a company called Sugar and Kush, and that's kind of how that entrepreneurship story started for me. So that was where I am now. So I still work at my regular job in finance. I do the CFO for Sugar and Kush, and I help grow Sweetberry, doing whatever is needed. So that's kind of my story.
So let me ask a question. What motivated you to be business owners? I'll quickly answer that for me personally. Early on after I graduated Rutgers, like I said, I worked on Wall Street. Then I got tangled up in the tech startup world. One of the first tech startups that I worked for, I was employee, I think like 12 or 13. And I had to sell a product for them where I was very accustomed and used to selling, products on Wall Street where, I had a script, I had to dial 300 people a day. They trained us really well. I had my Series 3 and I was really good at that. And when I transitioned into a tech startup, there was no direction. It was like, here, figure it out yourself, figure out how to sell this. And I had a hard time doing it. I was with that company for about a year and I couldn't hack it. I couldn't do it. It was a really tough transition. So after I left that company, I got bit by the bug. A lot of entrepreneurs say you get bit by a bug and then that's it. You want to start a company, you want to bring things to life. And it takes a lot of hard work and learning. What I could tell you, some of you first-time entrepreneurs, that there's no like real path to it. It's not like you can read a textbook and learn. You really have to do it by experience and learning, and failing is one of the biggest things. So, I would encourage everybody here that's thinking about starting a business, if you're just thinking, that's not going to do anything. Like put your actions out on paper, execute, try to create something. A lot of times it may not work out, or you may not, move forward with it, but it'll head you in that right direction of, eventually getting where you need to be and starting companies. Like today, I can tell you that I never would have thought I ended up in a restaurant. I didn't have any restaurant prior, and we kind of just fell into it. And we're on our second national chain here, so it's kind of funny how life works.
Yeah, and I'll follow up on that. I guess what motivated me to be in business, I was in the corporate world for 10 to 11 years, and I just kind of saw how it worked, and you're kind of defined, there's a ceiling and everything like that, and there's different stages. So I just wanted something different. I think I was capable of more than just the finance world. So that's why I started my M.B.A. at Rutgers. I just wanted to gain more knowledge. And that kind of led me into Sweetberry. And like Desi said, I guess getting bit by the bug is once you see someone with passion that's starting their own business or who's done it before, you just want to be a part of it. And the way you do it is either joining up with them and becoming an investor or just asking how you can help. And once you really get into being a business owner and seeing what it entails, and hey, it's kind of, if you can do it once as a business owner or an entrepreneur, you kind of have that framework work in your mind that, hey, I can do anything. Like I can do this again. So it's really just getting over the hurdle of that first time getting into it. And once you do get into it, it's just, it becomes who you are. It's in your DNA.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about, do you need to be born an entrepreneur? No, you can learn it. I don't know if anybody's born an entrepreneur. Maybe some people are, but I can tell you I wasn't. I worked all throughout college. I worked, like I said, I worked in the corporate world, and I learned how to be an entrepreneur, but it didn't happen overnight. I would say my mid-20s is when I really started toying around with the idea and started trying to start companies. Right, my mid-20s, I had apparel companies, I had a media agency, I had a website agency, you name it. And there were a lot of failures in that meantime. I sold products on Amazon too. I had a sports equipment company that we were selling sports equipment on Amazon, and like I said, it was a huge learning process. And probably about 4 or 5 years of that, when I was close to 30, is when I joined Bowls, and right in that beginning, everything just kind of came together. Everything that I learned, everything that I failed, it made a lot of sense. And it didn't make sense that things were, coming together in a restaurant venture, which we had no experience in. But a lot of 4 or 5 years of just trying to figure things out came into play.
Yeah. So, Des, I think we have another question. It says, has COVID interrupted your existing businesses? If so, what obstacles have you faced and how have you overcome them? Can you share your lessons learned with the aspiring entrepreneurs?
You want me to take that first with Sweetberry, and then you can talk about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Okay. Yeah. So, obviously we're a restaurant chain. We have 20 restaurants. Restaurant is getting hit the hardest, in my opinion. Retail, it's really tough. Early on in March, when the pandemic hit the New Jersey metro area, we ended up shutting down temporarily 13 of our locations. So it was like a shock to the entire organization. We had to furlough over 100 people. Remember, Matt, we had meetings back and forth during that time of what do we do? What do we do? Because there's no playbook. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody was prepared for this. The thing is, a lot of restaurants, they don't have they have slim margins and they don't carry a lot of cash on hand. So this is the perfect storm for a pandemic like this to take out the restaurant industry, because once this happens and the restaurant loses sales, you're talking about 50, 60, 90% of your sales within a matter of days, and that carries on for weeks. The business runs out of money and you're forced to shut down. So just like everybody else, just like everybody, not just in restaurant and retail, we went through that whole experience. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. We had to learn, we had to figure out what's going on with regulations and the government. We applied for government aid just like everybody else. We got government aid, and we're still learning as we go along. We have adjusted to this new normal. Obviously, there's no indoor dining, especially in New Jersey. We are healthy fast casual, which means we don't have any waiters. So people are coming in and they are purchasing in the store for pickup. They're doing delivery or they're doing online orders. So we've adapted to that really well. And we're able to make up for the loss in dine-in sales with that. But there's still challenges up ahead. This is still in a world of uncertainty. I think this is probably one of the worst challenges for every single business owner, or most of them out there right now, because nobody can predict the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So for those business owners out there, you really, really have to be an entrepreneur. And when I say that, I mean you have to be innovative. You have to think outside the box. And I tell Matt all the time. This is all problem solving. Every day there's new fires. We're putting out new problems, and you have to think on your feet. And if you can't do that, it's going to be very, very difficult to adapt. So this is really, one of the biggest challenges that I think all business owners are going to endure right now.
Yeah, no, I'll follow up. I mean, this is definitely a trying time. A lot of the things I like to always look at the past, no matter how long ago it was, and kind of see how people reacted. But something like this, it's very hard to understand and to make moves and to pivot and to move different directions, because nothing like this has really happened before. So that puts, there's no right answer, and you kind of have to just go with the punches. I mean, things are happening that never happened before. I mean, the PPP, going through that process was definitely a struggle for my business. I mean, the CBD, we specialize in e-commerce, and for Sweetberry too. It was everything was new. The government really didn't know how it was going to go about it. So businesses were needing capital with everything that was happening, and at one time there wasn't really any availability, or no one knew what was happening. But I would say I think some of the successful businesses is they pivoted. So I know just for Sweetberry, like we had a partnership with 1-800-Flowers, which has helped us definitely huge, just because now people are making more orders through online for gifts and birthdays with no parties. So that's helped us sustain and create a new a new channel of revenue. So, I mean, that's what businesses are doing. I'm sure you guys have been out to restaurants that have built outdoor patios or have built outdoor areas. I mean, as a business owner, the biggest thing that you can take away, I guess, from our story and from anything is to always think of an idea, to pivot, and to use this hardship as almost an opportunity to create another channel and just survive. I mean, you're going to get hit with numerous things as an entrepreneur, and it's going to feel like the world's collapsing, but you have to stay strong and you have to keep on leading. So that's the biggest thing I can take. I mean, you can't anticipate this, but you always have to pivot. You always have to create new business streams. I mean, that's in any industry, I guess that's happened like a Blockbuster, but now it's happening a lot more rapidly. So things are happening quickly where restaurants have to either evolve or it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough out there.
Yeah, like Matt said, innovation is the key, and it's adapting. Just to touch on what he was saying about our 1-800-Flowers, just to add a little color and detail to that, because they may be a little confused. For those of you at home that know 1-800-Flowers, you call them. You can buy flowers on the internet or through the phone. Their model is pretty genius. They actually don't manufacture anything. They partner with florists or vendors all over the U.S. And if you order a bouquet, a teddy bear, whatever it is, it goes to that local vendor, and then that vendor delivers it to you. Now, they also do edible bouquets, kind of like edible arrangements, where it's made of fruit. So obviously there was a synergy there because we have a lot of the same ingredients. We have all the ingredients, basically, stuff like Matt, the chocolate and whatever else.
Yeah.
But that synergy made a lot of sense for us, where they just funnel all of their online orders and all of their phone orders directly to us, and all we do is we create the products for them in the morning, and then we deliver it out with our staff. So those sales are constantly coming in, and it's really pivoted. It's transitioned our retail shops into kind of like a manufacturing facility. And because of this, because of COVID, their business has been increasing. You have a lot more people at home that are ordering flowers or edible bouquets for different occasions, chocolate covered strawberries. So it's very interesting. We only had this in one of our stores early on, and now we're adding it to about 3 more stores.
Yep. So I'm going to jump in. The next question, Desi, let me just scroll up. How much capital do you need to start with? So I guess that's it. That's it. So, I mean, just from my end, guys, that's a tough question. I mean, literally, I think 95% of businesses out there, you need very little capital to start with. It's really, you're going to have a year or 2 years or however long of bootstrapping, literally just doing whatever you can to make things work and to get by while you build the company. And it's not like you're going to be able to get any capital as a new company anyway, because you don't have any proof of sales, proof of concept, and things like that, unless you have some kind of IP behind it or some kind of recognition. So, I mean, for most businesses out there, I mean, you probably need no capital, or maybe just a friends and family round of maybe 10, 20, 30, 40,000. Maybe it depends on the business though. It's a hard question without knowing the business or the industry or what you're trying to do. But from my experience and for most people that are trying to start businesses, you need to bootstrap. You don't need capital, and you got to just build it on your own.
Yeah, Matt, we both have experience raising money. I did the initial rounds for Sweetberry. I think we've raised a little bit over $1 million for Sweetberry since we started the company. Matt's spearheading the fundraising and the investment round for Sugar and Kush right now. And what I could tell you, since March happened, obviously everything's tight. People are holding onto the cash, so that's not going to be an option, I think, in the near future. But for first-time entrepreneurs, you don't need to worry about that. I get that question a lot. Should I go out and raise money? How much money should I put into my business? The one thing I want to tell you guys is just try to start the business and try to prove that you have a concept first, and you can do that with zero capital. People always ask how. Do I need a product? Actually, you don't. I mean, I see tons of companies, they'll start a social media account. You can start an Instagram, you can start a Facebook for free, right? Put up content. Hey, this is what I'm going to be building. This is what I'm working on, right? You can have a designer mock up pictures of your products, or let's say you're selling T-shirts. You don't even need to manufacture the T-shirts. You can put, the designs up, and you can pre-sell them, right? So there's creative ways that you can start a company, generate revenue without even having a product yet, and you'd be surprised. People would support it. So think about that. Think about if you're going to start a business, without capital, how do you prove that you're going to have a business model? And when I say how do you prove that, you really need to put the product out there, or put your idea out there, and prove that people are going to purchase your product. Obviously, every business is different. Restaurant is different. I mean, restaurant, we know that you sell food, people are going to eat it, right? But I'm getting a lot of questions recently about people that want to start businesses from home or catering businesses, right? That's an easy food business to start. You can't really cook from home. You need a commissary. But right now, this market's kind of crazy, where a lot of restaurants have shut down. So you could rent out restaurant space for like $20 an hour. There's websites that list that, to go and go make your product. And if it's a cake or a cupcake, or seen a lot of females do the cake lollipops, right? So you build them in a commissary that's inspected, and you can sell it to the public. So there's creative ways to do things, and you don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and then I'll just follow up on Desi. Exactly what he's saying. It's first one iteration is, guys, you don't need to make things perfect when you launch. Like, don't try to perfect the product and make it perfect and delay launch. Like, come up with generally a good product and test out the concept. That's the biggest thing. People think they need to go to market with something absolutely perfect, and that's not true. You want to gain concept and gain proof that your idea is good first. And then, like Desi said, in terms of like restaurants and things like that, I study a lot of the big companies like Quest Nutrition. That's a huge billion-dollar company. They started making their bars by themselves at night from, I think, like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, for pennies on the dollars, renting out a restaurant. And that's something you could do. Just restaurants have free space all night. It's not being used probably. So they thought, okay, let's use that space. Let's bootstrap it, pay basically nothing, and build our product. So that's just ways to always think outside the box, and to basically do whatever you need to grow the business in the beginning when you don't have much capital.
Yeah, a lot of you got to test it yourself, and you got to do it yourself to understand the process. So I'll give you an example. We sell really, really amazing granola. It's a blueberry, gluten-free flax granola in all of our stores, and we sell them in retail packages in the stores, but we've been trying to move this online to e-commerce, and right now is the best time to do so. So we launched our website, and we didn't have that much in inventory, and we sold out really quickly. But it was me that was packaging it and selling it out, and going to the post office and sending it out. But you have to do that process. You have to understand that. You got to understand what the shipping costs are, how long it takes. Now COVID's affecting shipping times. So you can do these things at home. You can create products. You can package. You can mail things out. We have a buddy that actually has a barbecue sauce company, and he got everything manufactured, and he packs everything from his house right now. Sells it on his website, on Amazon, on Walmart. And the nice thing is too, if you have a physical product, there's so many places where you can sell. I mean, there's so many. There's Amazon, Walmart's big now. You can create your own website, Facebook Marketplace, even Instagram, Pinterest. They all have e-commerce integrations now. We can literally click the buy button. So
that's it. And guys, don't think that you need to know how to do all that. Like the whole entrepreneurship, it's learning. You have no idea how to do most things. You just you make the decision to do it, and you learn as you go. So that's how it works. But let's jump into the next question, Desi. Do you guys, had you had the chance to renegotiate any of your long-term contracts, either on storefront rent, suppliers, etc.? That's a great question for current period. Yes.
You want me to take that?
Yeah, I mean, it's every single one of our contracts, especially our leases and things like that, have had to be renegotiated. Just at this time, the PPP money is basically dwindling for all businesses. And basically, obviously, the revenue that's coming in is not what it used to be. It's probably between, depending on the business, 50 to 70% of what it used to be pre-COVID. So, I mean, when something like this happens, you need to be honest with your landlord and you need to tell them, hey, like, this is our revenue. Like, this rent isn't feasible at this time. And you're going to get multiple reactions. Some landlords are going to totally understand and will redo the contract with you to make it more possible because they don't want to get you, like, kick you out. They're not going to find anyone in this atmosphere to start a business, most likely in a new store. So, and some landlords are gonna try to fight you on it, but it's definitely a time where you have to be honest with your landlords or anyone that you have a long-term contract with, and try to make it work for both of the parties involved. So, and I can recommend the negotiations class at Rutgers University is phenomenal. So it definitely has helped me, and that's something that I've learned in that class that I've taken into the negotiations with landlords, suppliers, or in any negotiation.
Yeah, I wanna touch on that because I have a ton of experience in this. Between Pliables and Sweetberry, I've probably negotiated over 30 restaurants and commercial leases. So, when you do that, these things are no joke. These negotiations prior to, like, when you're moving in, when you're getting and acquiring the space, that can take anywhere from 3 months to 2 years. We've had locations where negotiations went on forever. And these commercial leases are no joke, right? So you'll have leases that are anywhere from 20 pages to over 100 pages. And they're usually airtight and they protect the landlord. That's why if you're going to go and sign one, you need to get a really good attorney to look it over and understand what you're signing. For the most of the situations, you're going to sign a personal guarantee, meaning that, if it comes to a situation like this and you can't pay the rent or something happens, you're still on the hook. You're still liable, which means I'm liable on the leases. The landlords can come after me. But since this is happening to everybody, in the world and in the U.S., early on, what I could tell you is back in March and April, the landlords were a little less forgiving, right? A lot of the conversations were, let's defer rent, meaning let's push back rent. Several months, you guys will pay it later. And I think as time went on, landlords are more and more not able to collect their rents right now, right? So the numbers are looking anywhere between 30 to 70% of their rent roll they're collecting, and that number is dropping. So as time goes on, a lot of businesses fold and go under or have trouble paying their rent. The landlords are in trouble too. So just like Matt said, right now this becomes a mutual negotiation of working together, and that's what's happening. We're about March, August, 5 months into this right now, and a lot of landlords are more willing to cut deals. They're willing to work because they understand that if the business closed down, that retail shop closes down, they don't get anything out of it. They get money, and most likely they're not going to be able to rent it out because this is an environment where people are very hesitant about opening any type of retail or restaurant. Now, for an opportunist, if an opportunist has a really good business model and wants to open a retail location, you can most definitely negotiate a spectacular deal. Like 50 cents on the dollar, because landlords are desperate right now to get tenants in. But I personally wouldn't recommend it. I'd be very, very cautious about signing any type of brick and mortar lease right now.
I agree. I guess we can move on to the next question. What type of support did the local government provide, if any? So I can speak on perhaps my end. Since we're an e-commerce company, the Sugar and Kush, we are domiciled in New Jersey. However, we don't have any brick and mortars in New Jersey. So for us, there was really no local government funding that was really available to us. It was just the SBA loans or PPP. So that's from my end. I know Sweetberry is a little bit different, Desi, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah. Just like most retail and restaurants, the federal government helped us out with the stimulus packages and the CARES Act, right? So you had the PPP loans. You also had the EIDL loans to the SBA. Every local government tried to help. They try to help in ways they could, and the state too. But it's challenging because there's so many regulations. Right now in New Jersey, restaurants, we still cannot have indoor dining, right? That really, really impacts the business. Every local city, though, they could issue different types of aid if they wanted to. Jersey City was big on it. They were issuing grants. There were quasi organizations, like there's the NJEDA, NJ Economic Development Authority. They work with the government. They were issuing grants to businesses as well too. They actually have a program right now where they guarantee any type of loan or investment for investors up to 80%. They're trying to stimulate the economy. They're trying to get investors to invest money into businesses and lend money to businesses. And that's why they're providing that guarantee or that insurance right now. So there are programs out there. You know, what I could tell, if you're an existing business owner, like, be very vigilant, keep your eyes open for all these programs that are coming in. They change. And when they do open up, they go by really quickly. You know, you fill out the application at 9 o'clock in the morning and the entire thing is subscribed by 10 a.m. You know, if you're a new business owner, I think there's less government or aid. Actually, Matt, you know, we touched on, like, raising money before. I think the SBA has a really good program right now. I think it's called a 504C loan. It's not easy at all to get qualified for it. But if you do and you start a new business and then you go purchase something like land or acquire, or if you go buy an existing business like a pizzeria or a gym, that's what you would qualify for. That's what they would give you the money for. And right now, because interest rates are so low, you know, we're seeing lending deals that are like, you know, once in a lifetime. So that's something to think about. Again, if you're a first-time entrepreneur, highly recommend against that. You know, don't go all in into something and you know, just take on too much.
Yep. So moving on to the next question from James. How do you promote marketing? So I can touch base a little bit about Sweetberry. We are an e-commerce brand. So we promote very much through Facebook, Instagram marketing. And then we use also influencer marketing as well. But the biggest thing for us is, obviously, as a new brand and an e-commerce brand, you need to gain people. You need to get in front of people through online platforms. Just because no one's walking by your store, no one's seeing it in while they drive by, you're not a brick and mortar. So the only way an e-commerce store gets seen is basically through online influencers, ads, SEO searches, any news articles or magazine articles. So it's a little bit different than a restaurant or any floor space wall or business. So that's how we promote for e-commerce. That's kind of a different animal. For Sweetberry, I know we do a lot of Instagram targeting to people that are our typical customers. So we know who our typical customer is. We try to align with businesses. We've tried old school approaches too. The mail, the postcards in the mail, we've tried for restaurants at certain zip codes around the restaurant. We kind of tried everything. So there's just multiple ways to that we've marketed. If Desi wants to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're a very you know, colorful and delicious and tasty product. So we market a lot on social media, like you said, Instagram, Facebook. We're always looking at new and innovative ways. We used to market on Waze, the GPS platform that actually worked very well. We've done some Google ads, and you know, we do the old school methods as well, like direct mailers. You know, when you try to partner, we try to get involved with the community as much as we can, which means that, you know, we try to do partnerships or fundraisers and events that usually works very well. Matt, now I'm seeing these questions pop up. There's a lot of them, so you want to pick one, Matt?
Next one's IPO. I don't think that's in our near future yet. We're still growing and we're still too young.
Yeah, for Sweetberry, we're under 3 years old. I don't like the idea of having a public company. You know, we're seeing a lot of companies that are actually doing the opposite. They're transitioning from public to private. I don't like the idea of having you know, external factors affect the values of your shares, right? That you don't have any control of. I think for me as a founder and as a CEO, for the time that I'm in the company, you know, we'll remain private, and maybe in the future, if you know, there's an opportunity IPO, it's way down the road. Next question, I'll read it, Matt. Thank you for sharing your valuable experiences. Curious to hear your thought on litigation. Do you have a lawyer on retainer? How do you deal with legal matter during Bootstrapped? I mean, if you're bootstrapping in the beginning, you shouldn't have litigation or an attorney on retainer. I think if you're a very, very mature company, right, then maybe you have a general counsel that's kind of on retainer there. I don't know if you want to maybe elaborate on your litigations. You know, for us, we have all types. We have 4 attorneys for the company. You know, so we have a securities attorney for raising money. We have a general counsel. We have a franchise attorney, and one more that I'm forgetting. But you know, you can. We have a litigation attorney too. But you can, you know, find different attorneys. A lot of times there's resources out there. You don't have to go and pay. Just Google it online. LegalZoom's a great resource too. LegalZoom.com. You can incorporate an LLC. You can trademark. I've used them several times, and a lot of times you get the answers online instead of, you know, going through an attorney. But I would always recommend, if it's anything legal, to get the counsel of an attorney.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in. I mean, the only litigation that you should be really dealing with in the beginning of your company is really like formation documents, ownership documents, trademarks, or things like that. So definitely there's no need to spend a lot of money in that area. Either if you have a friend, hopefully that's a lawyer, or someone else that maybe your family knows, and just you gotta save money. You can't be throwing it away on those fees or things like that, especially in the beginning of a business.
Yeah. Next question is from Ankit. Did you guys bootstrap Sweetberry Bowls? What is your long-term goal? I assume you aren't thinking about it right now, but still, any extra strategy in mind? So real quickly, we did not bootstrap. 2017, I got bought out of Pliables. I used that money to start Sweetberry. And in that first year, I also raised money. I raised about $1 million. That's how we were able to build basically 12 restaurants in our first year. You know, we probably spent over $1 million in construction and building our locations. That's a really, you know, we grew really, really fast. So we did not bootstrap. I assume that you're thinking about it right now, but is there an exit strategy is the question. Yeah, I think in the future, you know, right now we're in building and growth mode, and, you know, there's so many things that we want to do. We want to build our e-commerce platform, our CPG line. We want to be, right now we're in 7 states. We want to keep expanding. We want to be international. So we're still early on. We're approaching the 3-year mark, but obviously COVID has put a pause on everything and everyone. You know, exit strategy, if at the right time in the future, the right buyer comes into place and believes in our mission and wants to continue growing our company, that may be an option. But right now we're still, you know, we're building.
Yeah, well, I'll just jump in on Desi. We're only 3 years old. If my other business, I think we're only 2 years old. But you're going to see these large companies that are getting IPO'd, they're getting bought out for hundreds of millions of dollars. They were slowly growing, or they were very small, probably for maybe 3 to 6 to 7 years, and then all of a sudden, either there comes an opportunity where their business model fits what's currently happening. I mean, we could talk about Amazon. I mean, everyone knows Amazon, but that basically happened when the internet happened, and then Amazon started becoming bigger than just books. It was the right time for them to grow. But I can name dozens and dozens of companies. Yeti Coolers was another one that was basically a stagnant small company for 5 to 6 years, and now I think they do revenue of around $450 million a year. So exiting is great, but you have to very slowly grow, and then might be for 3, 4, 6, 7 years. It could be longer, and then all of a sudden things just switch, and your company gets hot, I would say, and it sees the right people, and that's kind of how it works, from at least from my experience.
The next question is, any advice for transition from 9 to 5 to running your own business? Yeah, just do it. You know, I see a lot of people that you know, I don't mean jump in all the way. I mean start. A lot of people are just very hesitant, and they don't do anything. So that's what I meant when I said just do it. Is like, just get the ball moving. You know, get a logo done, get your product out there, make it a side hustle. That's what a lot of first time entrepreneurs do. That's what a lot of successful people do. They have to work. You gotta pay the bills, but you're not going to know if you're going to have a successful business or product unless you do it. So once you do it and you're able to grow it, then you worry about that later. You cross that bridge when you get there, right? And then there's going to be some point where you have to go all in. Knock on wood, if it's successful. But right now, you know, because we're spending a lot of time at home, most of you are probably working from home. You can do both. I mean, you can work your full-time job. You can work on your own business, your side hustle, there's so much time to do everything. There's so many resources right now. We're seeing a surge right now in people that are trying to start businesses at home. So I would just encourage you to try to do so, and then hopefully you get to the point where you can fully transition in the future.
Yeah, along Desi's points, I'm a big advocate of almost what they call it, This Is Big by Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. The 9 to 5 job, and then the second work day from whatever it might be, 6 to 7 p.m. to maybe midnight or 1 a.m. I think it's safer. From personally, this is what I did of keeping your job. I'm younger. I don't have any kids. I'm not married, so I have a second work day. I get a quick workout after work, and then I go into another 4 or 5 hour shift of a business that is personally for me, that I'm the owner of, and that I'm going to benefit and I'm going to drive it. So, and I use my regular job to pay expenses, to make money and put that away. And then I have my second job, which I basically build something that's mine. So I'm a big advocate, and if you have a job and you have the time to do that, that's something I highly recommend.
We call that the second shift, right? So, we'll do our first shift, which is 9 to 5. And like Matt said, take the break, eat dinner. Instead of like spending the night to watch TV or Netflix or YouTube or whatever, use that time to learn. The one thing I want to tell all you guys is, the one thing about being an entrepreneur is you never, ever, ever stop learning, ever. Even like today or last night, there's things that I'm learning. I'm constantly on YouTube, and I'm absorbing knowledge on how to better my business, how to do this, how to learn about these government loans, how to learn about SEO, name it. So, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to have that hunger to always want to learn, you want to be better. Because if you stay stagnant, you'll never get to a point in your business where it's just stagnant and flat. You can always do something to benefit your business, benefit yourself, right? And that's constant learning. I could tell you that I probably spend at least a minimum of 2 hours a day learning. And that might just be watching a YouTube video or reading a blog or reading a book. But that's become part of my lifestyle. So, for those that you want to transition from 9 to 5, maybe if you don't have a product yet, or you don't have an idea yet, you can just there's so many free learning resources. YouTube is the best. In my opinion, it's the best resource. You can literally learn anything you want on there. You want to create a website, you want to learn how to market, just put that into the search field. That's how I started too. I used to read a lot of blogs and a lot of YouTube before I even did anything. For years, I would just learn how to absorb material. Then I learned how to take those ideas and execute it over time. So
cool. Next one. Let's see, does SBA and or PPP loans have to be repaid, or are they forgiven? It's still in the works. The PPP most likely is going to be forgiven if it's under $150,000. However, that is not confirmed just yet. You have to use it on certain things. It was supposed to be used on employee salaries and rent over 60%. However, now there are rumors, and it's pretty much going to happen, that anything under $150,000 is going to be just forgiven. And then on the SBA basis, those are basically, for right now, those are literally long-term debt at an interest rate of 3.75%, which will start after a year of receiving the money. And that right now is just a normal long-term loan, but it's definitely helpful, as we'll never see another loan at that interest rate as a business ever again.
Yeah. These are really crazy times right now. And by the way, the Congress right now, they're negotiating the HEROES Act. And hopefully when they get done with that, there's going to be more stimulus for businesses. They're working on a PPP round 2, which if that goes into play, I believe that businesses that acquired money from PPP round 1 are still eligible. And it looks like they're working on another big working capital loan too. I don't know if it's going to be through the SBA. I haven't seen much of the details. Next question from Stephanie is, looking back, is there something you would have done differently in creating your ventures? You want to go first, Matt?
Yeah, sure. I guess for Sugar and Kush, see, there's multiple. For Sweetberry, I would go for Sweetberry. For us, I might take this one away from Desi, is we grew very rapidly. We grew quickly, and when you grow rapidly, even for Sugar and Crush, like we've grown rapidly, you lose a little control, just because like everything's getting thrown at you, and obviously as you grow quicker, you get more problems, and definitely cash flow becomes an issue. So, I mean, one common thing that I've seen in all businesses is the faster you grow, it's great. Your sales are going up, you're exploding through the finish line. However, then cash flow becomes a problem because there's a lot of money leaving, expenses, and then you're ordering large inventories. So, I would say just be very aware of growth and just be smart about it when you are growing to keep it under control and make sure that you have a full grasp on what's going on, especially in terms of cash flow.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. I mean, we grew really fast. I don't really know any other restaurant chain that, in the first year opened a dozen or so restaurants, and our second year we opened about 8. We went from 0 to 100. Within a couple of years we had over $4 million in sales and revenue, and that's great when times are good. But when times are bad, and you have the economy getting hit with the pandemic right now, it's tough. So just like Matt said, you lose control when you grow really fast, and you need bandwidth, you need resources, you need people. Most businesses are people businesses. What I can tell you is a restaurant is a people business, and if you don't have the right people in place to help control your locations, your restaurants on the corporate side, it's very, very hard to control. So looking back, growth can be a good and bad thing, right? It's what if you have no growth? What if you have no sales, right? That's a whole different problem. Growing fast is good, but under control is better. Next question. Thank you very much for the answers. Halim, I am feeling out the influencer route, and I've heard several sub 100K subscriber channels that get sued, usually due to copyright, and shut down due to no legal protection. I'll read up on LegalZoom.
Yeah, I think that was in regards to litigation. I bet you it's the same person. She was explaining the situation. So I would say I don't know very much about. I know about the influencer world. I don't know about the litigation on under 100K subscribers. I would have to think maybe it's about trademarks or something like that. But I would probably just always protect yourself. Be smart about what you're posting. And obviously, if they see that you're smaller, they'll probably want to come after you just to shut you down. That would be my guess. So just always be smart. Be careful with other companies' icons, trademarks, and things like that. And that would be my advice for not knowing much about the situation or the specific industry.
Yeah, Hadi. I mean, you could literally, like I said before, just go on YouTube and search a query, and I'm sure there's a ton of influencers talking about that topic. Really the only thing you can infringe is if you're using somebody else's material, like if you're actually using their logo or trademarks in your videos. The other thing is if you're using like their music content, music is copyrighted, so you have to use royalty free, I think the term is. There's a lot of websites you can download, like generic music, also video clips, right? So if you're making a video and you're posting clips from your favorite TV show, you really can't do that because that's copyrighted material. The other thing is just like a book is, or a written blog, right? Somebody wrote that. You can't take somebody else's content word for word and verbatim, right? So if you're, reading a book and posing that as your content, that could potentially be a problem. But again, that's something an attorney can answer in counsel. I wouldn't worry about that too much, though. I don't think you see that problem as often as you think. But you should be able to find that on YouTube.
Awesome. Last question for right now. What is something you learned at Rutgers that translated to your venture?
I'll take that. It's funny when I graduated from Rutgers in finance, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I told you guys I was dabbling in entrepreneurship and trying to start my own businesses, and a lot of stuff was not panning out or working. So I decided to go back to get my M.B.A. And that was a good experience. I made a lot of new friends. You network. That's one of the best things about going to Rutgers is your network. And I can tell you that even from undergrad, I do business, and I'm still friends with a lot of people from undergrad, 15 years later. But I learned a lot about, things you learn in B school, P&Ls, accounting, finance, all that good stuff that's applicable in the corporate world. And when I left and when I joined Pliables, it was funny because right in the beginning, there's a phase of like just starting, making your product, getting the smoothies out there. attending with customers, it doesn't even matter, right? But we started growing really fast. Within the first year, we had opened a couple stores. We were generating some significant revenues. That's when all of my corporate skills came into play. So it was kind of funny that I had a marriage between entrepreneurship and finance background, because I was able to start taking on that role in the company as, basically the controller of the finances. So all of that came into play. And even now, as I grow and scale my companies, a lot of the corporate stuff that I learned, particularly in finance and legal stuff too, and operations and supply chain, that all comes into play right now.
I second Desi. I mean, I had a lot of experience in the finance world, but once you get into running your own business, it's a whole different animal. You learn basically everything that you need to in terms of P&L. I learned from Rutgers that really helped me was negotiations. And then I'm an accountant. My background's also finance and accounting, so that definitely transferred over well. But I did the entrepreneur route at Rutgers, some of those classes, and those business plans and what to look for, the opportunities in different markets was definitely very helpful in starting these businesses and kind of understanding as a business what to look for, especially as a startup. So a lot of the things that I learned from the university, from the business school, definitely transferred over. And it's really cool to be able to learn something in conceptually and then be able to then implement it into a real situation, which happens all the time. And that's I think the biggest one of the benefits of the M.B.A. for me, is you get to understand why you're doing things and the background behind it, and then put it into work into real life.
Next question is from James Mendez. Do you have a team working on your strategic plan, or are you guys going solo? If a team, how big is it? Do you benchmark success points? Also, you guys have a great drive. It sounds like you will overcome COVID-19 and the market challenges. Good luck and thanks for sharing. James, thanks so much for the kind words. Really, really appreciate it. With Sweetberry, it's not just us solo. It's myself, Matt. We have other corporate partners. There's about 10 of us. And coincidentally, a lot of the guys, a lot of the team it's all Rutgers. So it's friends and colleagues that I went to college with that initially got involved in the company early on, and we built this thing over 3 years. So, we all put our different parts and ideas into it. Matt helps a lot with the finances and the 1-800-Flowers relationship with the company. And as we're building out our e-commerce side of the company too, he's going to be instrumental. And there's other people and other partners that take on different ideas. So we're a company that loves to experiment with ideas, whether it's a different product or different marketing, how we talk to our customers, implementing artificial intelligence to help with customer service, right? So we take all those ideas and we have it in a system, like a Kanban board or software. And, some people may take on different ideas and implement those projects basically and try to implement it into the company. So we're not doing it solo, but we do have a very, very lean team. We don't have the resources yet to have, a team just working on our plan and vision, hopefully one day. But James, that's always going to be you. Whatever your strategic plan is or vision, that's you, and you have to decide what you want to execute on.
That's definitely, I think that you hit all the main points. I mean, my biggest thing is you'll see if you run your own company or just in general, you need to surround yourself with people that are like-minded like you. So you become the 5 people that you hang around most. So whether it's in your personal life or your business partners, make sure you surround yourself with people that have the drive that you are or that you want to be. Because that's very important, is the people that surround you will either bring you up and make you successful and help you grow as a business owner or entrepreneur, or they're not going to believe in what you're doing and it's going to really disappoint you and really make you not believe in yourself. So make sure you surround yourself with the correct people. Yeah,
I think that is one of the most important things that Matt just said. If you want to become an entrepreneur, if that's your goal, you need to hang around with entrepreneurs. Like my circle it's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of high level, and that's what I strive to be. I always try to keep, putting myself into bigger circles. And that's how you become better, right? So I would encourage you guys, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you guys can feel free to reach out to us. Obviously the world has changed and a lot of things are remote and online. So that's why we're here today on this webinar, which, you guys are doing the right first steps here. I actually used to go to a lot of meetups. If you go to meetup.com, there's a ton of entrepreneurial tech startup meetups. I used to go to one in Hoboken. It's run by Aaron Price. I forget the name of it, but he's got like 5,000 members, and he'd always have really great presentations and speakers like Gary Vee. So I would go to those just to network and meet other people. Obviously, now you're not going to be able to go to as many meetups if there's not any, but there's so many online resources and groups. There's Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn groups. Get interactive and ask other people questions. That's how, surrounding yourself with those people is extremely important. James, you also finally have you guys change your packaging to make it. I'm not sure what that means, James, if you want to clarify in the chat box and circle back. Hadi.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I think we're getting to the end. So if you guys want to just take one more question, and then if there's anything you guys want to leave us with as a final point, and then we can wrap after that, if that's okay.
There's a couple more questions here. Hadi asked, appreciate that answer. I might have missed this. How do you assess each other in the beginning to the point of trusting each other as a co-founder? Is it interview? That's a really good question. If you're going to start a business with somebody and it does take off, it's like a marriage. You're going to be in business with that person. So anything can happen. Disputes, right? So you really have to think about that. Think of it as not just a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend, but if it grows, you have to be able to work with that person for a long time. So there's things that not just like what is their skill set, but do I get along with this person? Do they have the same vision? What do they want to do in 5 years or 10 years? So maybe you should interview them if you're thinking about starting a business and really thinking about bringing on a co-founder.
Great. Thank you guys for doing this. Do you have any like last final point you want to share before I close this out?
I want to touch on, there's two final questions. I hate to leave these guys hanging, so I'll answer them in like 20 seconds. James asked, viable in the new normal, healthy meal replacements. Yes, we're working on take-home acai, take-home smoothies, right? You can order the smoothies with the frozen fruit in there and blend it at your house. So we're innovating just like a lot of other food concepts. And the last question Ankit asked, how much interest are you guys getting for Sweetberry franchise, or most of them still owned by you? The way our company's broken down is it's a majority corporate owned, and we have 6 franchises. Franchising has definitely slowed down 1,000,000%, and that's everywhere because obviously people are hesitant. When you open a franchise, you have to purchase your own restaurant. You got to spend the money for the build out, which could be cost anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. So people are being very, very conservative and cautious right now. James said, market yourself, share your website to this group. We'll send you all of our information so you can reach out to us. My last touch point, and I'll give it to you, Matt, real quick. I've been in everybody's shoes. Matt and I are just, normal people like you. We went to Rutgers. We got involved in the entrepreneurship. Anybody can. So you just have to do it. Like I said, you have to execute and take the time to learn, and think about it. If you just do like an hour a day instead of watching TV or doing something, you can take that time to learn or work on your business. So do it in baby steps.
Yeah, and definitely a great point, guys. Is just get involved somehow. If you know a business owner, an entrepreneur, ask how you can help or something like that. I'm very big proponent. Surround yourself with those type of people and gain knowledge, and that's how you become valuable as an entrepreneur and to other people. Is just gaining knowledge that they see as valuable. So surround yourself with other people. Ask if you can help. I asked, and I helped out for free a lot of the time with no idea that I could help. That would lead to something. So just surround yourself with people and just believe in yourself. That's it.
Great. Well, Desi and Matt, thank you both so much for sharing your time and expertise this evening. And thank you to all the attendees for your great questions, for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed today's discussion. We will be sending out a follow-up email from the Alumni Association, which will include a brief survey. Hopefully we can send out the website for Sweetberry as well. Please take a few minutes to provide your feedback for the event. Thank you guys all so much, and we hope to have you at all future alumni events. So thanks again, Desi and Matt. Have a great night. Good luck with your business, and I'll see you all again soon.
Thanks, guys. It's our pleasure.